What are you hoping to accomplish at these winter meetings?
Well, like any winter meeting, I mean, we're hoping to get the type of player, kind of player that will help us get to where we want to go, and that's to the postseason and win a world championship. And it's always good to get together with the front office staff. You hadn't seen them in 6-7 weeks, and tomorrow I head over to the ballpark, see some players, and but you're always trying to make your club better, and that's what we're hoping to accomplish.
Coach, do you have the confidence that the club has the resources with the TV thing hanging out there to get what you need?
We're going about business as usual. I can tell you that. We're meeting with teams, agents, players. We haven't, as far as I know, I haven't heard anything that's keeping us from doing that, and so we're looking for the players that we need to help us.
When you're out there on that lake reflecting on last season, you also looking forward to put together maybe a wish list of players you might like that?
Well, you're always thinking about what you can do to help improve the club, or suggestions, ideas. Pretty obvious we need pitching. The bullpen is pretty much depleted, so we got to fill those spots. We're looking at the starting situation. We're looking for a bat. I think about lineups, things like that, what I may do different. That's ongoing. That's what we do as managers, so it never stops. But, when you have your grandson with you and your son, you don't want to do it too much. You want to, appreciate them.
Coach, what's it like as far as trying to integrate 4 new coaches into your staff this year? And what changes could one expect to see maybe from some of these changes and bringing in the new people?
Yeah. It's going to be an easy transition for these guys. I mean, I have a very, very outgoing, welcoming staff, that will welcome these guys that are joining us, Teagues, and of course Louise. He's just got a great way about him. I've been spending the last couple of days with him. Justin Ville, I knew him with San Francisco, so they're going to give us some new ideas, thoughts, another set of eyes and ears, and you welcome that. It's just going to make us all better, and I'm going to miss Will. I got to say that. I'm going to miss Timmy Hires. Those guys were outstanding guys to work with, and did so much for me, and I appreciate what they did. And it's the old bittersweet thing. I'll miss them, but I'm glad that Timmy's at home, close to his family. I'm glad that Will's doing what eventually he was going to do. He thought he was ready. He is ready, and he'll do a great job there.
How important was September for Liner and Rocker?
I think any time you get reps in the major leagues, that's really critical for these guys. It takes a little bit of the unknown factor away. Can I pitch there? Or what's it take to pitch in the major leagues? And you realize it's the same game. You just got to execute your pitches and play fundamental baseball, all those things. And so, as they come into spring training, they should have a little bit of a sense of belonging. Hey, I can pitch here, and that confidence grows. And that's what it's all about, having the confidence that to know that you belong in the big leagues, you can pitch here or play there.
And then for DeGrom, it was big too.
Yeah, I think so. With the long road you go through and the Tommy John, and to get back on the mound and look at your stuff and seeing yourself get major league hitters out, know that you're healthy. We've already crossed that bridge, so coming in spring training, he can get ramped up and get ready to go.
So normal off season for DeGrom, just a normal off season.
Pretty much, yeah. He's doing his routine, his throwing routine. So we expect him when spring training starts. He'll be throwing his bullpens like everybody.
You've been at this for a while, and each season I'm sure is different. What did you learn the biggest thing from last season?
Well, I learned how difficult it is to do what we did in 23. But I've learned that before, so I got to get better at figuring out the next year. That's what I've learned. But that hey, every year is different. Guys are going to have down years. You're always going to deal with injuries. We talked about that, and things have to go. Ball has to bounce your way. Little things. It's not that easy to win. I don't think I learned that. I knew it. Going into the season, and we saw what happened. And I think if anything, it's going to make guys hungry. When they come in camp, they're going to realize it's a tough road to go down, to win a world championship, and they'll come in ready.
At the end of the season, you mentioned two things about Marcus, maybe taking a few more days off, and you mentioned the idea of maybe not hitting leadoff next year. Have you guys had any further conversations on that?
Not really. I'd have talked to Marcus, about the days off may benefit him, and he's not one to ever ask for a day off, but he's open-minded. He wants to do what's best for the club, and maybe what's best for him. We grind him pretty hard. You look at his workload, and it's amazing what he's done the last few years as far as posting every day, and I think we're going to have some good options to help rest these guys. When you have a Josh Smith and Duran, I got to find ways to get them in there, so they're going to benefit from getting some playing time at different positions, and these guys they'll benefit from their time off.
And you know me, I just like the lineup card in December. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you have options in the leadoff spot that you feel comfortable with?
I probably can answer it better when I know where exactly the team is. Could be something going on, you don't know it. So, but yeah, I think we have options. We have some home base guys. You have a guy like Carter. You got to mention him. He's missed a year. Yeah, that's a lot of time for a 21-year-old. That's a big part of his development. So we got to make sure that he's ready and we don't overwork him. And so these are things we'll talk about as we get to spring training.
Do you have much concern about his health, Carter's?
Not his health, just time missed from hitting major league pitching. He came up at a pretty good pace there, and then came to a stop, and we trying to get him at bats to see more lefties. Well, that he's missed a year of that, and including seeing right-handers, and this game's not that easy. So, but we'll see where we're at in spring training with him.
Have you, since you've been home, and I'm sure you've caught up on some honeydews, have you had any conversations with your wife about your future?
No, with her?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm getting kicked to the curb. Yeah. No. Well, we haven't. No, we're all lined. CY, myself, Kim. I'll throw her in there, and just focusing on this coming season.
But no thoughts about 26 yet?
No, I haven't thought about it. I'm thinking about getting back on track and getting to the postseason right now. That's all I'm thinking.
What was your end of year assessment of Wyatt Langford's defense in the outfield?
I thought he really just got better and better. I thought he did a great job. Put him in center field. I thought he handled that well. He's a good athlete, and the reads in left field I think got better, and that's probably the toughest one out of the three to play. Those line drives. They got him a couple times, but he got better with that, and it's just reps. It's like anything, and this guy didn't play a lot of outfield at Florida. He just hasn't been out there a lot, but you could tell he got more and more comfortable seeing the ball off the bat there. And I thought in center he read the ball very well there.
Could he play center field every day?
Oh, I think he could. Yeah.
Will he?
Coach, is there another Kirby Yates out there to be found?
I don't think you're gonna find another Kirby Yates. The job he did for us. So, but to your point, that's what we're doing now. Trying to get this bullpen situated, and so we're talking to everybody. And it's a lot of thoughts, ideas from the scouts and front office. See if we can get the bullpen set again.
Kirby Yates is out there.
Yeah. He's definitely out there. We know that.
Kind of a follow-up question to the Langford thing, but I heard you sort of casually mention, maybe another bat. I'm going through I'm not there every day like I used to be, but I'm going through the lineup and figuring where the open spots are. Are you talking about an outfielder, a designated hitter? Do you know?
Yeah, well, I think you'd say DH. That's an area that, I think we didn't get a lot of production from, to be honest. And so, if there's a bat out there that makes sense, he wouldn't have to necessarily be a strict DH, but guy that could, play somewhere but will, provide some production from the, plate.
Last one on that topic, and I'm sure you got asked about this last year, but Adolis Garcia, just my eyes watching him on the screen, did not look like something was going on with his lower half. Did I miss something there, or was he healthy?
He was healthy. Dolly was trying a lot of things last year. It might have been what you saw. He was got off to a good start, and then when things started, go south on him, he was making changes. He was trying different things, and so this is, I think, it was a great learning year from him. I've said this so many times. We all can learn more from our failure than our successes, and I think that's the case with Dolly, how he handles it mentally. He's making a lot of changes, things like that, and he's here. He and Leo both, which I love. They made a commitment to stay here, go to the ballpark. They're working, hard to get ready for spring training and to have a good year.
I was not going to ask another question, but you just mentioned something. Leody Taveras a platoon outfielder now?
Well, it could be. I think you have to look at the numbers from the right side, and I think he's determined not to let that happen. So, these guys will determine that. They'll dictate whether, they'll be out there against lefties, and so it's going to be competitive. When you come off a losing season, don't get to where you want to go, and hey, we got to keep it competitive, and so I think he knows that. We had our exit meetings. We talked about a lot of things.
It sure looked like you used him as a platoon outfielder in the second half.
Yeah. Well, we needed, a bat there, so it made sense putting Langford out there, getting another right-handed bat.
Everybody set? Thank you, Coach.
Thanks, Coach. Thank you.
What do you come into these proceedings hoping to accomplish most? What's at the top of the checklist?
Yeah, we have a number of things on our checklist, but I think several ways we're looking to upgrade our roster, complete our pitching staff, both in the bullpen and with starting pitching, and look and see if there's the right bat that would complement our lineup and help get us back to being a really elite offense that we were in 2023. So those are the primary objectives, and a lot of different ways to do that via trade, free agency. And I've said before, the biggest addition we can make to our club this year is to get the best out of our own guys. I think the core group of players that we have is very, very good. They're very talented. Several had down years last year. Several we lost to injury, and we've got to keep our guys on the field. We got to get the best performance out of the group we have. And if we do that, that's a significant upgrade alone from where we were last year.
Chris, not specifically to you guys, but industry-wide, do you sense that things have kind of picked up since the Soto deal got done and everything kind of?
I think certainly, I think there has been acceleration in the market in light of that, and our job is to remain engaged and prepared and flexible as the market develops.
Chris, I know you kind of addressed this maybe yesterday with some of these guys, but in terms of what your local TV contract, how much of an impact is that having on your ability to be as aggressive as you want to be as players?
Well, Mac, that's a great question. I think the right answer is any GM's job is to push ownership to put the best team on the field, and sometimes that requires being pushed past a comfort level. But our ownership has done a great job of giving us the resources we need to win. I'm very confident we're going to be able to put a winning team out on the field, and a team that's capable of competing for the division and hopefully a world championship. And we've got a lot of good things happening right now. Would it be fun to spend at the very top of the market every year? Absolutely. But that said, that's not realistic for any general manager. And so, our job is to be creative, to be flexible, and to put together the best possible roster with the resources we have. And I'm very confident that we've got certainly enough to be able to do that.
I know those TV deals are done by somebody else, but do you get any sense that that's close to being resolved?
I'm not part of that. I'm focused on the pitching and hitting market and not the TV market.
Speaking of the pitching market, Rookie Sasaki's situation is pretty unique. I assume that probably all 30 teams have some level of interest. What are you able to tell us about the Rangers' interest level and pursuit?
Yeah, certainly I think all 30 teams should have a high level of interest, and we're no different. And that's probably the extent to which I can comment on it, as he's a free agent. But it's a very unique opportunity for all clubs.
What have just been your impressions of him on film, just watching him?
Yeah, again, I'm going to stay away from specifically commenting on free agents. That said, I think the talent speaks for itself, and again, that's why every team should have a very high level of interest.
Chris, you guys struck gold with Kirby last winter. Are there more gold opportunities out there?
Every year in the market, there are players who are bounce back candidates, and I think our group has done a good job of identifying those, and we're hopeful to continue that. But a lot of times, it's really about the player, and I've been that player before, who's coming off injury or been a little bit down, and you kind of look for the right attributes in those types of players that they're competitors and they've had some success, a good track record, and when they're healthy, they're very good. So we're trying to stay engaged on that front too.
How much does it benefit you guys that have had guys that have done that, who've had success like that, when you're going to try to get guys like that? Is there something that helps?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're trying to convince a free agent to come to your team, you want to show a track record of success in whatever specific facet that is applicable to that player. And so when you've had success with some players who were bounce back types, I think it is a positive for free agents who are considering that. So I hope it works to an organization's favor.
When you kick around upgrading your team, are more of your potential solutions in-house or on the free agent board?
Well, in-house in terms of getting the best out of our group. I think on paper, as we look at our team right now, we have a great core group of players, but the roster's not complete, and it's our job to complete the roster, and that's likely external. I don't think that we have good players coming through our farm system, but we also don't want to force that, and so I think that we're looking at the best ways to complete our roster, both offensively and defensively or pitching-wise, to give ourselves the best chance to win. And a roster isn't complete April 1st. It progresses into the season as well up until the deadline. So it's going to be important for us to continue the positive work we've done on the player development side and making sure that our upper-level players are progressing and advancing so that they can give us a chance when we do have injuries. It's important that from a player development standpoint at the big league level, we're getting the best out of our own players and we're maximizing their potential. And I think we saw in 2023 what's possible when we do that. But this core group of players we feel very confident in and we're excited about, but we have work to do to finish off the roster and make it as complete as possible.
When you look at the starters that are coming back, Jacob's coming off of Tommy John, and really Kumar is too.
Yeah.
It seems like you're going to have some guys who aren't going to be able to do 180 to 200 innings. Does the bullpen going to look like it did last year with?
Yeah. I mean, Jeff, the reality is you look around the league, there are very few teams, there are very few pitchers that are going 180 innings. So every team is built on depth, and you have to have 8, 9, 10, sometimes 12, 15 pitchers deep, and that impacts the bullpen. And the deeper you can be as an organization from a starting pitching standpoint and from multi-inning standpoint, the more you are prepared to absorb those innings. And you hope that those innings are absorbed by a high quality of player as well. It's not just about the quantity, it's about the quality as well. So pitching depth is certainly paramount for for every club, not just us. And with our situation, with Jacob, Tyler, John Gray missed time last year. Jack and Kamar, we are no different. But it's our job to find ways to supplement those innings, and if we do miss time with some of those guys, that we've got good quality replacements.
When you talk about a bat, maybe trying to add one, is there a specific position or role?
No, I mean, I think our positions are pretty much accounted for. So I think that there's flexibility with positional versatility and the DH spot. Rotating our guys through the DH spot has been something I've been very keen to doing. I don't like just having one specific DH. That said, we need to get back to being an elite offensive unit, and some of that is with our own guys. Some of it is maybe looking for the right bat to complement. Last year we didn't hit the fastball very well. Evans documented that well for us, and we didn't hit right-handed pitching to the extent that we need to. So I think naturally that would lend towards a left-handed bat that can hit fastballs. That said, every team should be looking for those too. So, but I think there are a lot of good bats who, right-handed bats who hit right-handed pitching and can hit fastballs too. So we're staying open-minded, Sean, and looking at any way we can to improve the club as a whole.
Is Evan Carter an opening day starter for you guys again next season?
If Evan performs at the level he did in 2023 and certainly into the postseason, there's no doubt about it. But I say this with all of our players, Mac. It's a performance-based game, and you, one, have to stay on the field, and two, you have to perform. But we have a high level of confidence in his ability to perform when he's healthy, and we expect him to be healthy. So if he is healthy, we see him as a very important piece to not only our team this year, but for years to come.
Chris, do you see Jack Leiter as a starter next year or as a relief pitcher?
Well, we see Jack as a starter. We see his future as a starter. What that looks like opening day or July 1st or August 1st will be dependent upon performance, but we're certainly counting on Jack as a starting pitcher.
You feel, again, and I know you've talked about trade possibilities as well, right? But with everything that you've talked about, with the starter, with a bat,
Mm-hmm.
and with the number of bullpen arms that you've got, you still feel that if you need to, you can do all of that in free agency? You have the resources to do all of that?
Through free agency or trades, Evan, there's a lot of different ways to piece it together. So we're open to all those. We've had a number of conversations and some long nights evaluating it, but we're open on a number of ways to try to improve the club.
You are a Dallas guy. You have had some success with bringing back guys with some proximity to this area,
Mm-hmm.
in Heaney and Evolve
Yeah.
and John Gray. Could you employ that strategy a little bit on the bullpen front?
I know where you're going, but look, we're open to just bringing in the right fits for the Texas Rangers, the right players that fit our team, that we feel like can help us compete for the division and hopefully a championship. I will say, as somebody who grew up in this area, I know how much the Rangers meant to me. I know how much they mean to our fans, and I know what it meant for kids in the Metroplex who play baseball that have a team that they can be proud of. And certainly people who grew up here in the past have experienced that. So does that weigh into players' decisions? I think there's probably weighed into my decision to come home, and there's probably some aspect of that does weigh into any player who is from maybe geographically this area or grew up rooting for the Rangers. And my hope is that we put together a team that they continue to be proud of, and the next generation of players that grew up in DFW will want to be Rangers one day.
Of course, we've seen through historically this club has gone through waves of being really aggressive in off seasons and spending money.
Yeah.
And I think 2 or 3 years ago, you guys started really aggressive again, right?
Yeah.
Where do you think you guys are on that sort of wave chart, so to speak?
Yeah. Mac, I see it as kind of need-based. Obviously, there have been economic circumstances that have impacted things to some extent. I can't make excuses, though. Where our payroll was last year was at an all-time high, and we did not get the job done from a performance standpoint on field. That said, I believe that we are going to have the resources to continue to spend with a market this size, and it doesn't mean we're spending at the top of the market every year, but it means that when we need to, we have the access to be able to do that. And I think that's what our ownership has allowed us to do. And whether we're at the top of the wave or the middle of the wave or the bottom of the wave, I think it just depends on the needs on a yearly basis. But I am confident that we can put together a winning roster, and that's our expectation. That's certainly what, it's been made very clear to the front office. It's what the coaching staff expects, and ownership expects it as well.
We've asked this before, and you're probably not the right guy to answer this, but you're the only guy that can speak to it. To all of that, has there been any feedback from ownership to say we are not going to be a luxury tax team this year?
Our goal is to make the best decisions to win, knowing that there are consequences for going over the tax, and we haven't had the conversation as far as if going over the tax to win is perfectly necessary or the right decision. That said, if that's what it takes to win championships, ownership has done it in the past, and my expectation is they would be willing to do whatever it takes to win.
Are all of your top targets still in play after a day and a half of the winter meetings?
All the top targets that are available. I mean, that's, I can't. It's you deal with the ones that are left. But yes, we've got a number of players that we love and would think would be very good Texas Rangers.
Is it fair to say like 2 or 3 bullpen guys and 2 starters? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the profile of each. I mean, I think there's starters that could be bullpen guys that are 6th, 7th types of starters, and there's also bullpen guys that are back end leverage guys that wouldn't start. So I think there's a lot of different ways to piece it together. There's trade possibilities. And they're going to be waivers as well, guys that are a little bit, hidden gems, or you strike, you find the guy at the right time, right place. So the bullpen will be a constant work in progress over the course of the season. It has been, it is for most clubs, and we're not going to be any different.
Soto was always going to get a big contract. I think everybody knew that. I think a lot bigger than a lot of people thought. Has that contract driven up the price for other guys? Have you noticed that as you know?
I can't say specifically. I can't say. I don't know what the offers were going into free agency. So naturally you would assume that. I can't specifically speak to that.
Because I know there's cycles in baseball where sometimes there's a lot of big free agent spending, and sometimes it's a little bit lower. And it seems like this is one of those years where. Just based on that, it seems a little bit higher.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, we'll see at the end of the offseason.
When you see a number like that, what's your? I mean, I know you've been around for a long time, but that's astounding.
Well,
what's your reaction?
That he's a great player, and great players warrant big numbers. That's the extent of it. I mean, it really. I think it speaks to the talent level of the player. We saw it last year with the free agent market, and these guys are the best in the world at what they do, and the best in the world, they get paid at the highest level, and baseball is no different in that regard.
Chris, did you have any input in having the winter meetings in your hometown?
No, they didn't ask my opinion. Yeah, no, they did not. So,
well, next time they do, tell them no thanks.
I prefer the road trip.
How challenging has that made your job as trying to get top talent here, trying to look at your payroll and get those guys here?
There are always challenging aspects because you don't have an infinite amount of money. No team does. That said, I think we've done a great job of. I think the player community knows what the Texas Rangers are about. What a great franchise we are. The talent we have on the field, and I think winning players want to be here, which is a great thing. It speaks to really the culture of the team and the coaching staff and the organization as a whole. And I think that's healthy that, we've put ourselves in a good spot. It doesn't mean we're going to land every player, but it does mean that when we have the opportunity to compete, we feel like we can.